Miniature Market has thousands of board games at discounted prices. Click the direct link below to see all of those discounted games. Hello my friends, in board gaming there's a really popular award called the Spiel Des Jahres, essentially Game of the Year in Germany. Historically speaking, it's been one of the most thought about, talked about awards out there. In recent years, it's maybe lost a little bit of lackluster, but it's still important. So I thought I'd cover this every year. I pretty much, as the nominations come out, I always pretty much do a video, tell you about the games, tell you what I know about the games, because most of them I've played and reviewed already. And then I usually give you my commentary, thoughts, predictions, and things that they're missing. Same thing with this video. I'm going to go through first the Spiel des Jahres, and then this Kennerspiel, which is the slightly heavier game, a slightly more involved game. I'm going to go through all that. So even if you already know which games are there, you still want to watch this because I've got lots of commentary on which ones I think I'm going to win, but also going to talk about the ones that I think should have been nominated, but they weren't. Here we go. All right, let's first start with the Spiel des Jahres. The first one, in no particular order, is Bomb Busters. This is from Pegasus Spiel. This is sort of a limited communication cooperative game where it's got, I think, 66 different levels you can play. And you're trying to cut wires of bombs to bust the bombs without dying. And the game starts very easy, where you're cutting wires and you're trying to deduce which wires people might have, what numbered wires they have. You're trying not to cut the red wire because then you're all going to blow up. You're able to give out information to players to show them what they might want to do. If you've ever played a cooperative card game called The Crew, which is a very popular cooperative card game, there's limited communication in that, but there's also essential clues that you try to give people and certain things you try to deduce. This game has a lot of that going on, with feeling like a completely different game for sure. It's not a card game. But you are trying to give certain clues, knowing what other people know, and you're also trying to learn certain things by deducing and cutting wires of other people in certain ways. Also, the game ratchets up over different levels. You're going to be getting new mechanisms, there's going to be new cards, there's going to be new special abilities, new goals, new things that come out. So in the way, it's kind of like The Crew in that way as well. But if you like limited communication co-op games that has some deduction elements, Bomb Buster is it. Yeah, now Bomb Busters, this made my cooperative game of the year. So that tells you how highly I think of this game. If you like limited communication games and you like cooperative games, Bomb Busters is an absolute fantastic one that you can get in pretty easily with the level 1 and work your way up. And you don't have to go through the entire campaign. You can just find a level that you think is somewhat challenging, and it's always going to, even if you play the same level over and over and over, because of the randomized way that things are set up and such. Sure, the puzzle might be, what you're trying to do might be the same in those games, but it's going to be different based upon what you have and based upon what characters you get and special ability to use and such. So this is an absolutely fantastic game. Great choice, Bomb Busters. Now the next one I'm going to talk about is called Flip 7. Now this was a very popular game last year for the lighter games. This essentially is a press your luck game where you're trying to score as many points. And it's a pyramid deck, meaning there's like 12 12s, 11 11s, all the way down to like 1 1. And you're getting dealt a card, and next time it comes around, it's kind of like blackjack. You either say hit or stay. If you stay, you can score those points at the end of the round. If you hit and you get the same number again, well, you bust and you're out for the round. So you're trying to do it, but it's called Flip 7 because if you can get 7 numbers, which they have to be different numbers, of course, because if you get the same number, you bust, then the round's going to end and you're going to get a bonus and you're going to be able to score all those points. But there's also special ability cards, ones that give you some extra points, one that lets you double some cards, one that lets you freeze out somebody else, one that might give you a second chance, one that might make someone else flip a bunch of cards in a row, all these crazy things. The game is fun. It got a ton of buzz last year. I like it. It can have definitely some special stand-up moments that most games do not deliver, but also can have some times where it falls a bit flat. You could have an 8 for your first card. You're like, oh, that's not bad. I'll hit again. 8. I'm out. I'm out for the whole round. Now I'm watching 5 other players go round and round for a round. That kind of lucky weird thing happens a decent amount. So sometimes it can fall flat. But there are times where it's like, wow, that was amazing, right? And so very few games have these stand-up moments, hooting and hollering, lots of excitement. So the game has a very high ceiling, but it also has a floor as well. And your experience may vary even from round to round how exciting it is. Some rounds are not going to be exciting, some rounds are exciting, some games are going to be exciting, some games are going to be like, oh, well, that was fun, let's play it again. So it's good, it's very light, flip 7. Now, there usually, or often I should say, there tends to be a game that's, I think, only out in Germany. It's not very well known. There's not a lot of information on the game that makes its way in. And I would say the majority of the years this happens, and it happened again this year. This game is called Crackle Oracle. I don't even know if I'm saying that right. This is a cooperative drawing game for people who can't draw. Now, each player gets a dry erase pen and a board, and it has many sort of random lines on it. Now, at the start of each round, you're going to get a card with a word on it, and you have to draw that. But you can only draw it by tracing the lines on your board. So in effect, you're trying to find the image within the lines. Now, when everyone's done, as many cards as there are players are shuffled back in, and then these cards are basically spread evenly around the table, and players are trying to, in turn, pick a card with a word they think that nobody drew on their board. And once everyone's had their turn, only the words that were originally dealt should be remaining on the table. So hopefully you do well. Now, the face-up card that was not drawn by anyone is a mistake. So after 4 rounds, the group wins if they have made fewer mistakes than there are players. Now, obviously, I have not played this game yet because it's not really out anywhere on this side of the world. I'm not a big fan of drawing games, period. I think the only one I even tolerate is Telestrations. And that's fun because it's kind of like the game Telephone, but with drawing. And the worse you draw, actually, the better the game is. And this one says, hey, you don't have to be good to draw and such. I'm not a huge fan of drawing games, so and I haven't played this, so that's what I got with that. So let's talk about some predictions and which one do I think is going to win, which one should win, and then we'll talk about the ones I think that might be missing from this list. This is really tough. To say which one should win or the one that will win is almost impossible these days because I feel like there's been sort of some head scratching last couple of years. It's been a very moving target on what the jury's looking for, and there's really a big gray area between the two major awards, the Spiel des Jahres and the Kennerspiel. Spiel des Jahres is supposed to be like the very light family game that people in Germany buy at the grocery store. They buy one game a year. They're not huge gamers, but they buy the Spiel des Jahres every year at their grocery store. Right? Then there's the Kennerspiel, which is originally came out after Dominion won, and all those people that usually buy the Spiel des Jahres are like, what the heck is this? So they came out with a new award called the Kennerspiel, which is supposed to be like that next level game. And for a while, everyone's like, oh, this is the gamer's game. It's not the gamer's game. It's like slightly heavier than that Spiel des Jahres game. And that's been getting lighter and lighter, so there's been recently a lot of blurred lines between these two, and it's really tough to know what the jury's looking for either of them. For example, let's take a look at some recent winners of the Spiel des Jahres. So we got 2019, we got just one. Now I have placed the Board Game Geek weight. 1 is light, 5 is heavy. Like 5 is like uber heavy, 1 is like super light, right? And so, granted, I do realize that the weight on Board Game Geek is probably one of the least useful statistics ever, but it does give you a decent, at least relative thing to other games, at least. Now, just one, 1.04, very light. Pictures in 2020, super light. I mean, those things float away, they're so light. Micro Macro Crime City, also super light, 1.10. Then in 2022, they went a lot heavier for the Spiel des Jahres. They went with Cascadia. Now, granted, Cascadia is not a heavy game, but it's at a 1.85. That's pretty heavy for a Spiel des Jahres. In fact, it's almost down in the realms of like Kingdom Builder and Dominion, which were the two heaviest games I think that have won this Spiel des Jahres. So they went heavier with Cascadia, right? And then in 2023, they went lighter again, so you get a little bit lighter. So Dorf Romantic won. But why I say there's a head scratching is the last 2 years have been very head scratching. Like, what in the world is this jury thinking head scratching? Because in 2023, sure, Dorf Romantic won at 1.64, but Challengers won the Kennerspiel, and that's at a 1.8. And when that happened, even when it was nominated, I said, what the heck? How is Challengers a Kennerspiel? This is light enough to be a Spiel des Jahres. In fact, it's lighter than Cascadia was that won the Spiel des Jahres in 2022. Yet it was still it still won the Kennerspiel, which was a super head scratch. I'm like, now they're putting games that should win the Spiel des Jahres in the Kennerspiel, and it was very weird. It was super strange in 2023 there. What happened? But then last year, 2024, Sky Team won. And I was like, what? What in the world? Like, Sky Team is a harder game to teach than Challengers was. Like, Challengers, I've talked to people that don't play games, and you get it. Sky Team, you play with people that play games, and it has something to do with, like, you know, you've got hidden information, they're rolling dice, they're trying to figure it out, and then there's like, oh, well, in this thing, you have to put this dice in this order, then the order doesn't matter, and here we need the flaps, and then we need the thing to land, and then we get the win, and then we get, like, there's way more going on in Sky Team than there is in Challengers. But yet, Sky Team was not only nominated for the Spiel des Jahres, it won the Spiel des Jahres. I could not believe it. It had a weight of 2.05. Heavier than the Kennerspiel one the year before. So what I'm saying is there is an absolute head scratcher here where it's like, I feel like 2023, maybe they got a lot of pushback, as they should have, for putting Challengers in the Kennerspiel, that they almost like tried to do like a course correction in 2024, like, well, we'll make a heavier one. We'll make the heavier one in the Spiel des Jahres this time, which was kind of weird. So 2024 was just an odd year, and 2023 was an odd year. So also last year was, the Kennerspiel, or the Kennerspiel recently was E-Mission, also known as Daybreak. And that was a 2.86, and that was last year. So I say there was a course correction. They put a heavier game than the Kennerspiel the year before in Sky Team for the Spiel des Jahres. And then Daybreak, or E-Mission, won the Kennerspiel. And that's a decently heavy game. It's a 2.86. And that is probably one of the heaviest ones to win the award ever. So it's like they went heavier on both ways, and I feel like that was a course correction from the lashback they got from the crazy 2023 year. So I say all that to say I have no idea who's going to win, and no idea who should win, because the Spiel des Jahres committee has been a moving target for a while now, and the last 2 years has been all over the place. So it's really impossible, and I hate that it's this way, because it should be a better, more clear line. Make it more separation, right? Like, make one award further away from the other, or make one more on the lighter side and the other one a little bit more on the heavier side, and leave that middle range, whatever. Like, because it's just hard. Now, before I I can't really predict what's going to happen because of all this. It's a mess. I will say my favorite game of the three, again, I've only played 2 of the 3, was Bomb Busters. And in fact, I think Bomb Busters is an amazing game. Flip 7's a fun game that has some great moments. Haha, it's great. It's light enough. It fits the mold of what the Spiel des Jahres historically has been. Lighter, little party games in recent years, other than Sky Team. It fits that mold. So would it surprise me if Flip 7 won? No. Be like, okay, they're going back to their roots there of the pictures and micro macro and all these super light games, just one, and that's fine. That's what the award should be, something, and it should stay that something. It shouldn't be all over the place like it's been recently. Bomb Busters is a way better game. Bomb Busters is an amazing game. Is it going to win? It's one of the heavier ones if it's won. So again, I have no idea. So let's talk about the recommended ones. I have played many of the recommended ones. Agent Avenue is one of the recommended ones. 2-player game, 4-player team game, but really 2-player game. Great game. Lots of fun. I've reviewed that one. Castle Combo. I think it won Light Game of the Year for the Golden Geek Awards from Board Game Geek. I did not like this one as much as other people. I think it's fine. I gave it a 7. It's a good game. Didn't blow my socks off like everyone else. Cities from Phil Walker Harding. I could see this being a nomination. I liked it. I didn't love it. The other ones are Foxy, Perfect Words, and Animals on Baker Street. I have not played any of those, but just a note on some of those recommended ones. Agent Avenue belongs to be there, I think, for sure. Castle Combo, it belongs to be there. I don't think it's as good enough to be there, but for what the award is, I think it belongs to be there. Here's some that are missing that I think that they missed, and this is always another weird thing about the award thing. Well, the game has to be in Germany, has to be out in Germany with German rules. It has to have like normal distribution. It can't be like a Kickstarter that launched and also has German rules. It has to be like full distribution. There's also like not clear as when like the cutoff dates are. And so it's always really hard to tell, but I have put some here that at least have been released in Germany in the last year. One is Tower Up. I've reviewed this game, go check it out. It was my family game of the year. It's one of the most amazing games. It's like as if Ticket to Ride and Manhattan, 2 previous Spiel des Jahres winners, had a baby. You're building towers, but it's very light, but it's very engaging. If you like Ticket to Ride, you like Manhattan, Tower Up's amazing. The Gang Here's another beef I have. The gang is basically like The Mind, cooperative playing poker, where you're trying to figure out what other people have. It's a fantastic game where it's just an amazing game. If you liked The Mind, it's got that weird sort of sense, but it's about sort of poker. Here's the weird thing, and I'll get to this a little bit later. The Gang was one of the 5 recommended games for the Kennerspiel. Are you kidding me? This game is like, I think it has a 1.66 weight. I mean, this game is as light as most Spiel Des Jahres. This game is uber light. You know what you do on your turn? You take a poker chip. That's it. You're looking at 3 cards that were laid out in a poker hand. You're looking at 2 cards you have, and you're taking a poker chip, or whether you think you have the best hand, the second best hand, the third best hand, what have you. Are you kidding me? This is where we're at for the Kennerspiel? Are you serious? After Daybreak won it last year, like a much heavier game? Why in the world? I'm almost more surprised that the Gang is in the Kennerspiel than Challengers was in the Kennerspiel. What the heck is going on with this jury? It's ridiculous. The Gang should have been a Spiel Des Jahres nominee. It's not. It's a Kennerspiel recommended. Go figure. This is the reason why this award used to be the crown jewel of board gaming, and people, including myself, are caring less and less about it every year. And pretty soon, I'm not even going to do videos about it because it's so frustrating. All right, I'm get off my soapbox here. The other ones that are really good that should have been there, Landmarks. It is a word-based game with a spatial element where you're building a map with words. It has a cooperative version. It has a competitive version. If you liked code names, but you wanted something, might I even say, even possibly a little bit better, that has some spatial aspects to it, Landmarks is amazing. Link City from Blue Orange Games, a cooperative game where you're trying to put buildings next to other buildings that make sense, like a tattoo parlor goes next to the factory, which goes next to a campground, which doesn't go next to like a pet store or a celebrity's house. And you're making this map and trying to guess where people put buildings that match based upon what other buildings are possibly there. It's really, really clever. Awesome. And the last one is Courtesans. This one's from Connoisseurs Games. This is a fun little game. Easy little card game. A little more thinky, where you're trying to score points off of cards, and you're putting cards in different courts based upon their color. And sometimes you're scoring your positive points, sometimes you're scoring negative points. Really light, but really good. So those are some of the ones that I like from the Spiel des Jahres. Let's move on to the Kenner. Now for the Kennerspiel, typically I've played 2 of the 3. Some years I've played all 3. I think this is the first year ever that I've only played one of them, which is kind of odd. But anyway, so the first one I'm going to mention is Endeavor Deep Sea. Now, in this game, you are drafting team members of different types of specialties, like the navigator or the oceanographer and such. And with each of them having their own different actions that you're trying to take advantage of. And the further you've moved up different tracks, like ingenuity, then the better the team members that you can add to your ship. And you're going to be moving your ship and diving down to different parts of the ocean, going deeper and deeper into a darker depth. You're going to be journaling your discoveries. You'll also be adding new submarines to also go around and discover things. Other players' actions can help you get bonuses, and sometimes when you'll get something because someone else did something next to you. Sometimes you'll be the only one to get it if you've done both things. There's many different missions, and each of those missions are slightly different, but they also give you different ways to score each game, and that's Endeavor Deep Sea. Again, this is one of the ones I have not played, but I've spoken to a few friends of mine that have played it, and everyone is very high on this game and saying it's absolutely fantastic. Let's go to the next one, which is Far Away. Now, in Far Away, you're playing cards in a line. Then you're drafting a card based on the number that you played, because all the cards are numbered. Then the big twist here is that at the end, you score everything in reverse order. So everything's face down. Then you flip over your last card that you played, and you see if that thing scores. And then one by one, you start flipping over the card before that it's scoring. So it's interesting the fact that as you play cards earlier, you're constantly trying to find cards to play that will help score things that you played earlier. Sometimes you need resources. Sometimes you need day or night cards. Sometimes you need different colors. All those different things. Sometimes you're also getting artifacts and such. So it was an interesting twist. And this game, I think, was nominated for Light Game of the Year 2024 in Board Game Geeks, Golden Geeks. And people were super, super high on this game. They've been very high on this game for a long time. By the time I had played this game, it had a ton of hype. And so by the time I played, I was like, okay, this is interesting. I liked it. You know, maybe a 7. Like, it was fine. But it didn't stand out, maybe because it had so much hype that it just, like, it didn't live up to that for me. It's a fine game. I'm a little surprised that it's one of the 3 best games that are, like, next step games. But I guess it shouldn't be super surprising because I tend to be, I guess, in the minority that most people really love this game. Okay, the next one is Loot, spelled with more O's than it should be. In this game, you're gathering resources and capturing buildings to develop your fjord. Now, you'll also be filling your longships and completing your construction sites to score points. Now, there's a common board, it's like double worker placement, where you're essentially Vikings conquering new territories, which then allows you to recover resources, buildings, and objective tiles. But then you have a personal board where you build your village with the tiles previously recovered from the common board. So you're taking them from your board, the main board, putting them on your personal board to unlock victory points. Now, this is another one that I have not played, so I can't really comment on it. I know that I've talked to people that have played it that really like it as well. So you have Endeavor DC, you have Faraway, and you have Loot. Now, much like this Spiel Des Jahres, I have no idea what's going to happen here for much of the same reasons, right? Last year was one of the heaviest Spiel des Jahres Kenners to ever win. And it was a course correction from the year before where it was a game that was light enough it should have been the Spiel des Jahres. Endeavor's at a weight of 2.89. Faraway's at 1.89, which is roughly the same weight that Cascadia was that won the Spiel des Jahres a few years ago. Loot's 2.12, a fraction higher than Sky Team that won the Spiel des Jahres award last year. So you see what I'm saying here. I have no idea what's going to go on. If they're trying to make the Kennerspiel be more different from the lashback that they felt from giving challenges to Kenner, then my brain says they're probably going to give it to Endeavor Deep Sea because they're going to start putting more heavier games here. But I have no idea. I don't know what's going to happen. Recent winners we've had in 2019, we had Wingspan, a weight of 2.47. We had The Crew, which also, when that was a Kennerspiel, I looked at it and went, and many people were like, what? How in the world is The Crew a Kennerspiel? It is a simple cooperative trick-taking game. Some people had said, well, it's got some nuanced play that's harder for SDJ people to get. I'm like, well, maybe that's the only reason why The Gang is a Kennerspiel at 1.66. Because if you know nothing about poker, that game might be a little hard to do well in or understand what you're really trying to do. It's the only saving grace it might have. But The Crew, 1.95, kind of weird. That was lighter than Sky Team that won the Spiel des Jahres last year. 2021 Kennerspiel, Paleo, 2.65 weight. 2022 Living Forest, 2.22 weight. 2023 was Challengers, that was a whole debacle at 1.8. And then last year, as I mentioned, Daybreak, 2.86. I have no idea. It just depends on what the jury wants this award to be, and nobody knows what it wants to be, I think, including them at this point. The recommended games, The Gang, as I mentioned earlier, 1.66. Somehow it's recommended. No idea why, except maybe they're just like, well, the people buying these games, they don't really know what poker is, so this is going to be heavier than they think. I don't think so. It's not hard they give you a sheet that shows you how the things rank. 2 of a kind, 3 of a kind. It's not rocket science. The Gang being recommended for the Kennerspiel, that alone makes me be like, I think I'm done with this award and this whole thing because it's ridiculous. Next is a game called Curry, K-A-U-R-I. I don't know a lot about it. Next one for recommended, Medical Mysteries, New York City. You're trying to deduce based upon some theories and some symptoms to diagnose what's wrong with the patient. The last one here is Zenith of a weight 2.43. I did just play Zenith last week. It's very good. Definitely would be deserving for being at least recommended here, for sure. Which ones are missing? Well, it's hard to say, again, because I don't know where they're going with these awards. So I thought of some mostly lighter games that might be too heavy for the Spiel des Jahres. Noon Attack, Temple of the Ice. This is a Cosmos game by designer Kane Klenko. Fantastic game, drafting, set collection, building a 3-dimensional pyramid, area control. Not super heavy, it's pretty light, but it's probably a little too heavy for the Spiel des Jahres. This is a perfect Kennerspiel pick. Aqua, and again, all of these were released in the last year in Germany with German rules. Next one, Aqua, Biodiversity in the Oceans from the Op. Another great one that is, again, a little heavier than a Spiel Des Jahres. It's a puzzly game where you're tile laying. You're trying to attract animals to your coral and then have bigger animals eat the animals that you've already got. It's a puzzly game, very good. A little too heavy for Spiel Des Jahres, I think, but perfect for Kennerspiel. This next one is probably the heaviest of this list, Kraftwagen Age of Engineering. This is a re-implementation of a heavier, medium-weight Euro game, Kraftwagen. Maybe this one couldn't be one because maybe they don't do re-implementations. This game was reworked. They redid a lot of the mechanisms in it. It's a different game, even though it's the same game. Maybe that's why it wasn't on there. And the last one I'm going to mention is Intarsia, demoed by Michael Kiesling. This is like a step heavier than Azul, but has lots of similarities to Azul. But it's definitely heavier, so I could see this not being a Spiel Des Jahres, and Pegasus Spiel tends to be pretty good at getting at least one Kenner or Spiel Des Jahres nominee per year, and oftentimes they win it. So those are the ones that I think they missed. Which one do I think is going to win? Who knows? It's a crapshoot because I have no idea. They're not consistent. So I hope this has been cool. I hope this has been good to see which ones have been nominated, my commentary on that. It'll be interesting. I'm sure I'm going to get a lot of hate mail in the comments, just like I did last year or 2 years ago when I was blasting the Challengers whole debacle and then the Sky Team thing. I'm sure I'm going to get a lot of people from Germany hating this video, but this is how people outside of Germany feel about the award, and it doesn't seem like the Germans really care. They're like, this is our award. If you like it, that's fine. If not, no. But everyone comes to defend it. So I'm assuming that's going to happen here. But at the very least, I hope you found some games that I recommend that I felt should fit this as good as I possibly can, given the inconsistencies of the most recent years. This has been a Game Boy Geek, breaking down barriers, growing relationships with board games, helping you find the next one you love.
Game Toppers upgrades every game you play, and they just launched their 4.5 Kickstarter, which will introduce the new Galactic, Mycroft, and Watson Game Toppers with interchangeable rail inlays, as well as new game mats, miniature gaming terrain packs, leg kit options, dining covers, accessories, and amazing package deals. Search for Game Toppers on Kickstarter or go to GameToppersLLC.com.